Hey everyone, we're live. I wanted to go over, after much demand, some of the information that's been going on in the real estate market. As you may know, the real estate market had changed quite a bit last year around April. We had the new housing plan come into effect, which directly impacted affordability in the sense that you had the stress test, which increased the lending rate, qualifying rate by 2% for anyone looking to borrow to get a mortgage or qualify for a mortgage. There were also some other impacts that had an effect, but certainly we came out of an extremely hot market. So today I want to get into a couple things. I'm going to see if I can do. So first, what's in the news? What are we seeing? Well, right now we're seeing that the loonie is kind of struggling along. We've got NAFTA kind of controversy with the United States, which is creating some uncertainty as to whether or not the Bank of Canada wants to move forward with continuing their rate hikes. We also have issues with jobs. Jobs numbers just came out, and it's indicating that the Canadian economy isn't doing as well as we had hoped. In addition, GTA condo prices and townhomes and semis seem to be the segment of the market that has the most activity and the highest rate of return currently, as those properties tend to be the ones that people who have qualified go after because it's just the most affordable option. Right now, we're seeing about 51% of the purchasing in the GTA are attributed directly to first-time home buyers, and so qualifying for that detached now is a little bit out of reach, and so a lot more people are now gravitating towards that. I just wanted to go over quickly some of the market stats that we see for the Toronto Real Estate Board. So year over year, when you compare January 2017 to January 2018, sales were down 22.5%. From 5,188 to 4,019. Active listings more than doubled. So last year in January, we had low inventory, if you can recall. It was just over 5,034, whereas in January 2018, we had 11,894. So that's a 136% increase. Months of inventory. Now, this is across the GTA and TREB stats. January 2017, we had just 1 month of inventory, whereas in January of this year, we had 2.9 months of inventory. So it was a 190% increase. And then the composite benchmark price was 770,000 in January of 2017, and today it's 737,000. So it's dropped significantly as well. And now, if you compare our January stats to December stats, we did see slight increases, or the market starting to show signs of recovery. In the instance, active listings has dropped from 12,926 to 11,894, so a drop by about 8%, which is good because the less inventory, the higher the rate of market value increase, and obviously inventory moves quite a bit quicker as there's less inventory available. Sales actually dropped as well. So in December of last year, 4,900 sales. Now we're down to 4,019. So that was an 18% reduction. You can also see from the historical residential charts that new listings have dropped. There's a little chart right here. Take a quick gander. You can see the drop in sales, but the increase in listings on that chart. So this is the Toronto Real Estate Board housing market chart over the, now it's hard to see because this is inverse, but over time, you've seen, this is where we saw the spike in 2017. So it was actually quite abnormal to have a spike that high. This was 2008 right here, and you can see that it was a recovery in almost about 2 years. The market recovered from that crisis there, and so but in general the trend is still upwards and it continues in that direction. So if you're still thinking about purchasing property, perhaps this is the best time to do so. If you can afford it, of course, you can get the financing, simply because we see an increase of inventory and slight drop in prices gives buyers a little bit more leverage in the negotiating position. Certainly last year, at the beginning of the year, we had problems because of the amount of the shortage of inventory, but the surplus of buyers and availability of capital for mortgages. So if we get into the effect of the government intervention in 2017, we can really understand why the market reacted in the way that it did. So at the start, the housing affordability problems were that the average house price in the GTA was over $770,000, beyond what you can expect the average income could support. Household debt has consistently been rising, so the government's response was the Ontario Fair Housing Plan, which was a 16-point plan that had a 15% foreign buyer tax, similar to Vancouver, or sorry, BC, and then rent controls, and there's a bunch of other things that we'll go over at another time. And this was a period of a lot of uncertainty for buyers. As a result, buyers not only had to face the interest rate changes and the mortgage rule changes, but in addition to that, the uncertainty and consumer confidence took quite a big hit. Keeping in mind, through this entire period and even preceding this period, people had constantly been, specifically the media, had constantly been hitting real estate over the head with speculative assessments as to what would happen. A lot of people believed that the market would drop significantly. Some people, as crazy as it sounds, said as much as 40 to 50% of the market value of homes would drop. Certainly, that's not what we've seen. In some cases, we've seen as little as not even as 2% in some parts. In Toronto, it's still extremely hot. Despite all of these circumstances, the market will likely overshoot the pricing that we've seen despite these changes. And why? Well, at the end of the day, the real problem has not been addressed by the government. The government has been trying to reduce demand artificially through increasing lending rates, making it more difficult for borrowers to borrow, but they're not facing the underlying problem, which is the supply side. So they've been attacking it from the demand side, but not providing on the supply side. And at the end of the day, as you know, everyone needs a place to sleep and rest their head. So whether or not you're going to be buying or renting, there's still going to need to be something to address the fact that we do not have enough affordable housing in the city and in the GTA and greater the Golden Horseshoe. And as a result, we're going to have problems of supply, which is going to push prices up. And certainly there's going to be more speculation as a result of that. And with the Ontario Fair Housing Plan trying to push forward with rent controls, this is going to make this problem even worse, because then speculators may not get into the market, or the prices will further increase, because anyone who goes to purchase property to then rent it out has more costs, and those costs are going to be passed on to the tenants. So reduced consumer confidence and affordability is what slowed down the first quarter of 2018, and uncertainty in the marketplace created a lot of that slowdown. In our January, February were very slow. We're actually starting to see the market increase in pace now. If you have any questions, feel free to put them on there. So why is demand so high for the Greater Golden Horseshoe or the GTA? Well, there's three main reasons I think of off the top of my head, which is demand, and population trends. So international investment, global awareness, immigration and urbanization. Toronto and Canada in general has very inclusionary policies, diversity, and a strong job market, which draws a lot of the people from the rural setting to come to the urban setting, because there's jobs, and then you have mechanization, efficiencies associated with technology. These all reduce the manual labor jobs, and they allow, with the free availability of capital, people can now invest into more technological advancements that will increase efficiencies and productivity. So next thing is geography. So the Greater Golden Horseshoe map, if you take a look at that, which I'll show over here, I think I have one right here. So this is a This right here is a map of the Greenbelt in 2005. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be 2005, not 2015. So all these little gaps right here represent the areas that aren't built up, whereas this is 2017, so last year. You can see there's only a few pockets left. By 2041, it's predicted that the GTA's population will increase by over 3 million. Right now, we're just at about over 3 million. So I think it's 13 million, 13.2 million by 2041. At today's rate, we're at about just over 9 million. So that's a huge increase in population, and that would definitely imply that we need to get going with creating supply for this marketplace. So then, yes, the population trends. Here's another little graphic here on population trends, and this speaks to the population right here. So right now we're just over 6, and this is just over 9 million. And then here we've also got the population as it relates to immigration versus the natural population increase. So you can see we're having less babies, but we're increasing our immigration significantly. It's estimated about 80,000 immigrants coming to the GTA every year, and that's immigrants or refugees internationally. But we also have people who immigrate to the GTA from other provinces in Ontario, other provinces in Canada and other cities in Ontario. And then obviously the green belt is a huge reason why we're having this concentration of population, because we want to reduce urban sprawl. Finally, infrastructure. So the workforce, Pearson International Airport, and the education system are huge reasons as to why we're seeing the drive for people to come here. Here's another chart here. Again, I would put this all up, this presentation, if you want me to send it to you. It has all of this information available, and I certainly can send it off to you if you're interested in seeing some more information about it. But just so $550 billion is going towards Ontario infrastructure over the next few years, which contributes to about 5,000 schools, 24 colleges, 150 plus hospitals, over 17,000 kilometers of highway, 2,800 bridges, and 3,000 GO Transit kilometers. And then finally, the Ontario Fair Housing Plan doesn't address the supply problem, as I mentioned. So increasing supply is a better way to provide options to a population struggling to find affordable housing. So this is really how the organized real estate as well as real estate agents see the problem being resolved. If we don't increase supply, we don't provide options for people who have lesser incomes. They're forced to rent, and there's going to be more opportunities for speculation as rents increase. And whether you're buying or selling, or whether you're buying property or renting property, the availability of affordable housing is very relevant, because either way, your carrying costs or your monthly expenses are going to increase as a result of the affordability problem. And so even if you choose not to become a homeowner, your rents will increase as in correlation with the market value of homes. And so I'm just going to finish off. So the possible solutions to increase supply in the GTA. One is reduce approval time. New construction projects in 2013 used to take 18 months for approval, but now take close to 36 months to approve. Invest in public transit infrastructure by providing a more accessible infrastructure, making commuting times more convenient, accessible, affordable, and timely. Will allow consumers to purchase properties in further out locations. Some examples: Barrie, Guelph, the Tri-Town area. You've got obviously a lot of people in Hamilton. You've even got people coming in from Niagara Falls. These areas, if they have better access to this type of infrastructure, it's safe to say that they would have more options when it comes to real estate, and it could spread out that burden. Innovate a public transit infrastructure was probably one of the better ones. Encourage high-density residential communities. So those are condo townhomes, freehold townhomes, semi-detached condo apartment buildings, and lifestyle communities. By doing that, you're going to be able to provide access to housing to people who can't afford the detached properties, and certainly it would help alleviate some of the stress for the middle class trying to survive in an economy and in a real estate marketplace that is heated to the point where it's arguably unaffordable. So I hope you enjoyed this live rendition of my little report for the 2018 real estate market in the Greater Golden Horseshoe and the Greater Toronto area. And I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. And if you'd like to see some more, subscribe to our channel, and have a great day. Cheers.